Behind the scenes. Can you explain a bit about what goes into putting a hackathon together?
Well, first you've got to get space, right? And so, space is a critical thing to think about. Sometimes, you'll have people organize, and it'll be sort of a one-to-many conversation, like an auditorium, and so that doesn't work extremely well with hackathons, but might be the only way to deliver sort of the opening ceremonies. And then you have to have different places for people to collaborate, so you can begin to think classrooms, but the classrooms have to be like the big tables, so the big round tables where everybody can sit at 4 or 5 comfortably. And then you have to think about all the tools. So if you're at an engineering hackathon, you have to have the metal lathes active. You have to have the electronic shop open so that they can buy parts for their kits and things of that nature. So it really depends on the type of hackathon you're having. If it's a software hackathon, you really have to have your software in place. You really have to make sure that Wi-Fi connections are up and running, can handle the load that you're going to put on it, and that people are using software that's going to play on game day. So the worst thing that would happen is if you spend Friday, Saturday, and half a Sunday, come judging time, you can't get your final product up for showing. That would just be disastrous. But also, although I've seen that happen, it's a good lesson learned for testing, right? Of your software. A lot of people kind of forget about that component. So getting out there and doing test runs, and this happens in the real world. So it's a great place to learn that lesson that you got to do significant testing before you are scheduled to go live. So I think when you start thinking about this, space is really important, and the number of resources that are required. And you just can't throw a hackathon up, right? So you have to have sponsors. Space costs money, for one. And then two, you really need, like anything else. So we could develop the greatest software, but if we don't invest in marketing and get it out and publicized, then we just have poor uptake. Same thing's going to happen with a hackathon. You might have organized the greatest hackathon, but if you don't have the right partners to help you promote that hackathon and provide participants, it will just not be successful as well. So there's a lot of things that go into a hackathon beyond just what you see day to day. For example, the day-to-day stuff that you have to have a theme. You have to have several problem statements that people can work on. You have to have contestants. You have to put in place judges. You've got to have some mentors. Late at night on Saturday, early on Saturday, people are just tend to be totally lost, right? So they came up with an idea Friday night, worked with the team, and finally figured out what they're going to be doing, put some time in, but really haven't done the all-nighter yet. And so they start Saturday morning pretty fresh, good ideas, ready to go, and just face the challenge of fingers to the keyboard, right? The heads down, getting something done. And you have 4 or 5 people often working on different components of that. And so it takes a while before they actually are in a place where they see something come together that begins to look like a product. And because of that, we need like mentors, like you were going to do, Will and Matthew, on Saturday, just to kind of give encouragement, help them organize that so it does come together for them Saturday night, and give them time to polish it up for Sunday. So there's a lot of organizing that goes on beyond just fundraising, marketing, and even organizing. And then, of course, in this era, you've got to think about logistics too. So you've got food, you've got cleaning surfaces, you've got any virtual tools that you may need to use. The Unhack was supposed to be a nice test. So I know him as Andrew. I'm trying to pull his last name, but he's the dean of the engineering department over there. He had an idea. Dr. Maxwell. He had an idea of virtualizing this hackathon for the first time, and that was going to be our test case. Unfortunately, we needed to do that just one event further, but I think that's where the future of these events are going to go. From several hundreds of people getting together to participate, we're looking to get tens of thousands of people working globally on the same types of problems.
Oh, that's very ambitious. And Yeah, it's just like you said, a lot of logistic things that need to plan out if you were doing the in-person hackathon. If you have this virtual type of environment where people can communicate, collaborate, and innovate without even actually physically being there, that could actually uh, largely expand the impact of the hackathon. And I like the bit where you said about mentors. Yes, on one hand, we're providing essentially technical support, but more so on the emotional support during those hackathon events. We're like the spiritual cheerleaders, you know, to give a little bit of energy for each contestant for them to finish their product, finish where they started.
And,
I
and you
think,
know you need that, Will, right?
yeah, yeah, I've been on the both side of the fence. I felt both sides of the kind of the need for energy and also the need to give energy.